T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. I'm James. This is Mike. The answer to the eternal question: who ate all the stuff? So today, this has been a journey.
This took ages, isn't it?
This has took so long. So back in January of what feels like 1984, we had a chat with RatRig about, they were doing some work with Sam Prentice. We sort of reached out to him about the V-Minion kit. That wasn't really ready at the time. And then we just we moved on to other things, Vcore and things like that. And back in January of this year, they sort of reached back out to us and said, look, you know, would you be interested in doing some of the, would you be interested in the Vcore 3? So I went backwards and forwards, a few emails. They sent one out in February. So in February, that got as far as the Netherlands. I'm not saying that that RBD stole our one. I'm just saying that he lives in the Netherlands and that's where our parcel ended up.
Yeah.
So we had all that palaver. Then we had then the parcel got lost. Then it was found. Then it was lost again in Holland a second time. Then we had to wait for RatRig to ship out another one, which they have. And then at the end of that, before they shipped this, they sent us a message going, the beds are out of stock. That we've got the metal part, but we've not got the heat bed. So you guys, do you want to wait, or do you want us just to ship the whole machine and then we'll ship the last bit? We'll ship the last bit when it gets in stock. And I was like, I just want to get it. So finally, they shipped this one, and then we've got
this morning.
Heated bed turns up, which could be a couple more weeks. It's going to take us a few live streams to try and sort of get this up and running. But this one is the RatRig V-Core 3. It is the 400 by 400 version, and this is the version that has the full enclosure with it. So this is a machine that will print ABS all day, every day. It's got the Bondtech LGX Lite tool head and that nice EVA2 form factor. So for those who aren't aware, EVA2 is something that RatRig has designed with some of the community members and things like that. And it's a modular design. We are joined by Carl Fenton, and we will just see whether or not he can hear us now. There we go. Amazing.
God,
where you are, Carl.
It's pissing it down, and I can hear you now.
Lights. You had all the lights on.
Light?
They don't work.
Brilliant.
It was about 5 minutes ago.
Absolutely amazing. Brilliant. Anyway,
Hold on.
So,
now he's sat inside his hard drive.
Yeah.
bloody computers. Is that better? I put the hat on so the shine doesn't glare everyone.
Right. Okay. Fine. So anyway, so this is the 400 by 400 version. This is the Core XY. This is a triple Z axis. So the way this works is it goes around and it probes the bed, and then it physically adjusts the bed on 3 axes, so that 1, I get to do body popping whenever I explain it, and 2, it actually levels the bed to the gantry. So so it's really good. I say a really, really nice machine. And we are going to start unboxing some of the many boxes that this comes in. Comes in 4 parcels. This is probably the most interesting one, so I'll leave that one for a second. But as you can see, these have all got like email release written on them and loads of stickers and stuff, because we had an absolute drama trying to get this imported and through customs.
Well, basically, we paid the import charge, didn't we, for the first one? That got lost. And then who delivered it?
DHL.
DHL wanted to charge us import for the one that we got to replace the one they lost.
which I politely declined after speaking to, I don't know, everyone who works at DHL. The amount
I
of
think you even
departments
spoke
I got
to. I think you even
transferred to.
spoke to the forklift drivers.
Oh my God, the amount of people that I spoke to, it was ridiculous. So this is the giant PEI sheet. So just to be clear, I'm a regular sized person, and this and this is an entire person's body's worth. So this is magnetic, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see how this. Wait a minute, Mike has a different camera view. Okay.
Yes, I have.
Oh, have you?
It's a camera view you don't want to look at.
Not too closely, at least. So it'll be interesting to see how this. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this holds up against sort of high temperatures, because
So,
it'll be a.
I learned a valuable lesson this week. So I powered up my Focus and I put my old PEI off my Ender 3S1 onto my Focus and just put double-sided sticky tape, underneath the sticky material, just to be lazy. And I had a massive print fail because I was too lazy to actually stick it on properly. And now it's working functionally like it should. So lesson learned: don't cut corners.
Very true. Very true. I love peeling this stuff off, especially when it all comes off in one. So I believe this is a machined aluminium rather than, because there's lots of tool marks on it. So rather than it being cast, this is machined. So this should be very flat. Again, we have auto bed leveling on this machine. I believe you can also do a mesh level on it, as well as it physically adjusting the bed. So it can adjust for any warp or anything that you've got going on. But that is a very shiny. Look at that. Almost holographic. I'm going to put this back in the box so I don't have to put it on the
Please
floor.
don't drop it.
Pardon?
Don't drop it.
Don't tell me how to live.
It's a work of art, that.
That's very nice, yeah. So, right, let's dive into the interesting box.
James might be buffering because we're using a different PC that we've not used before.
Do I keep buffering?
I haven't noticed it.
Carl Fenton, who's the haters?
Anyone that doesn't like me, don't bother me. I go to sleep at night and I wake up in the morning and guess what? I'm still here to piss people off.
Brilliant.
I'm happy.
Next week here is a thud and he's just dropped it. Yeah, probably.
Don't. That's probably why I was a bit late. The wife was tearing me another one.
All right. So
we have got a new partnership coming up, haven't we?
We have got a partnership. So this is stepper cables. These aren't labeled, so I don't know if these are all different sizes or whether they're all a standard size and you just use them. But anyway, before I delve deeper into this, because I will in a moment, it's all boxed up very nicely, so we'll take a look at that. If you guys take a look in the video description, you will find, move over to the middle, there we go. You will find that there is a link to a website called Direct Computing. So Direct Computing are the new sponsors of the channel. We're incredibly famous people, and as a result, we have now garnered professional fans. It's very exciting. I'm very excited. Look how excited I am. Oh, that's my excited noise. So you know it's real. So, so these guys are going to. They're providing us with a 3D modeling build that's going to mean that we can start to do some more tutorial stuff for you. The kit that we work off of is kind of old, and it's really struggling when it comes to doing some of the bigger slicing that we're doing, some of the bigger models. When we're trying to do, when we're trying to cut up large models, like Mike is doing a super secret project at the moment that's very cool. But those
it's easily going to be a month's work because I'm on.
It's a lot.
I'm on part one. I'm on 95 hours. And 64% of it done, and there's 12 pieces of it.
So anyway, so Direct Computing are bringing out a series of custom-built machines that are specifically targeted at people who want to do 3D modeling. So they're mid to high range graphics cards. They're higher memory, they're higher RAM and good processors and all of that good stuff. And they're trying to cross over a bunch of different price ranges and things like that. So they are providing us with a machine to the channel. He's famous and doesn't need to look at the camera anymore. But my camera has moved. I want to be clear.
What he's actually doing is looking at the television.
I keep looking at the television, not down at the thing. So anyway, so yes, they're providing us with the machine. They've got a whole bunch of new pieces that are coming out, new PCs that are coming out, and they've got some genuinely decently priced things. We approached about 15 different PC companies to have a conversation about this, about who wanted to sponsor the channel. And after we went through all of those guys, these were the only ones where we felt these were actually, like, they weren't gouging prices on things. So they're actually the closest to MSRP that I've found on graphics cards and that kind of stuff. They do repairs as well. There's a lot of stuff that they're doing. It's all really good. So check out the link in the video description.
Which is annoying because I've just bought a new PC.
Yes, you did. Right, back to 3D printing. So we do have some teeny tiny stickers. A little rat's face and a little RatRig. So we'll definitely lose those at some point. There is a business card for the company. I've already brought it through. There is a QR code through to the manual. Right, let's go into all boxes. So this one is all brackets, corner brackets. It's a giant bag of fixings. So that's very depressing. That's a lot of fixings.
That's a lot of stuff to lose.
There's a lot of stuff to drop on the floor. I have picked up these fairly cheap off of Amazon, and what they are they're right angle clamps that you would normally use for cabinetry, and I thought they'd really help me to square the frame up. I don't know if they will or not. I can use them as set squares. I think
I think they're a good idea then, because I've seen more and more people using them. Those sort of things, you know, when they're building like their own core XY machines, they're using that kind of tool now to line everything up.
Yeah. So Paul Lawson used the very same one, so I now feel very smart for picking it up on my own. Use my big brain. This is all corner brackets. This comes in a little packet. Oh, these are some of the custom aluminium parts.
So did you see they dropped this week, wasn't it? The Vcore. They're doing a 200 by 200 by 200 now.
They are indeed, yes. So up until now, they've only really done a 300. Apparently, they had a bunch of people asking for smaller ones. So they did a 300, a 400, and a 500. And obviously, we got the 4 mainly because I'm building this in the studio. If I had the 500, I would not have been able to have got the 500 through the door into the office once it was built. So pretty much once the RatRig was in there, it would have become load bearing.
And I would have take the window out.
Yeah. So that's why we didn't get the 500. This is a Big Tree octopus board with the obligatory duck. Oh, it doesn't squeak. No.
I bet the one that was lost, the one squeaked.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Nice board, the octopus. So the octopus I think the octopus was originally designed for the, you might be able to move the small camera box to the top right, please, so we see more of your face.
Yeah, your face keeps going behind the box where you've got the other camera.
I'll just
you just look like...
I'll move over here then. So okay, we've then got power supply, a WeHo, don't know the brand. We've got something made in Sweden. Oh, this is the Bondtech. So this we went for the Bondtech LGX Lite, and that is small.
Bloody hell.
Yeah,
Tiny.
I've seen a few people use them, and they're fantastic. They look
So
like.
see if we can just get that in front of this camera. There we go. Hold on. So for context, that's my hand. So that is small.
Well, there's no added weight on that, is there?
No, there's not going to be.
They're coming really popular, them, aren't they? On the Vcore, on the 0.1.
Yeah, so I've seen a few people who've recommended the Bondtech extruders. So not just the BMGs, but the new LGXs. I haven't seen an LGX Lite, but that is small. That is really small. So that's really good. Pop that back in the box for the time being. Going to be a while till we get to that, I think.
So did you see BIQU's and E3D on their H2? You know, the hot end.
Yes, they've done
They've
the
collaborated.
H2 Revo point thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
with the quick changes.
Very impressive.
Yeah. A lot of collaborations going on in the industry at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of collaborations. So obviously Ultimaker and Ultimaker's just merged with Raise 3D, and Prusa has just bought out. Who did they just buy out in the US? I can't remember.
Printing. What's it called? Printing Solid. Is it Printing Solid?
Printing Solid. That was it. So that they can have a much stronger American footprint.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. These
Which means
all the stepper motors. Again, be a while till we get to them. So
Printed Solid. That's it. Cheers,
Printed
Paul.
Solid. That was it. Yeah. Oh, this one's a bit lighter. What's in here? So we did go for the printed parts as well, because I think for a lot of people, this may not be their first machine, but it may be one of the only machines they have. And it's the difficulty with having to print your own parts is that you have to be able to print ABS in a high enough quality to mean that you're not creating a variance in your parts. And that's fine. But if you can already print ABS in that level of quality, why are you buying this machine other than the size? Like, it's one of the core reasons you'd buy this. So yeah, so we got the parts because I think a lot of people are going to want the parts. Ultimaker bought Raise.
MakerBot.
Oh, was it not Raise? It was MakerBot.
Yeah, MakerBot.
I knew I was going to get that wrong. All right, well, what's this? A little teeny tiny thing. Is this the Raspberry Pi power supply? I bet it is. Or is it an SSR? It's an SSR. Good SSR as well, a ceiling. Nice. Yeah, good. So it's an AC heated bed. And that SSR is for that. This is heavy as well. Oh God. This is some more printed parts. Some more corner brackets. Another bag of screws and fixings.
They've seen your videos, haven't they, James?
We usually only get one bag, but they decided to double it up.
Yeah.
Right. So these parts, let's keep these separate. These parts are all going to be for the lid box. Yep. So I'm going to keep these separate for the moment. So these are the gas struts. So the way this works is put these in here as well. So the way the whole thing works, the way the whole enclosure works, is there is a door at the front, but then the lid actually comes up and over as well on gas struts. So if you're not printing ABS and you don't want the thing enclosed, you can leave the lid open and open the doors, or you can access it in the way that you need to. So that's really good. Pop them down there because we've need them for a while. I'm having a chat with Martin Henshaw at the moment about potentially getting him to sort out the panels for this. And then this one is, so this is BL Touch. This is Mosquito Hot End we went for, so that's really good. First upgrade, change them 100 struts for 150s. Really? So you don't think, is it just because of the size of the, is it because of the size of the 400? The lid's just too heavy? That's very interesting. Hi, 3D Mechanics. This is going to be TMC 2209 drivers. We've got some physical limit switches, a couple of fans, and a little Raspberry Pi.
That's half
This
the
is a
price.
Model 3B.
Yeah, that's probably more expensive than the whole
I was
printer.
going to say, the most expensive part in the printer, ladies and gentlemen. Someone's at the weight with the panels. Yeah, I figured as much. So that is all electronic stuff. We went for a genuine Slice Engineering Mosquito for that as well. Thought that would pair really nicely with the LGX extruder. So we'll pop that out of the way.
What size? What size is Paul Lawson's RatRig then? Has he got the 400 as well?
I think Paul's got the 400 as well. Yeah. The thing is, if you're building a machine like this, it does kind of feel like 300. So I get why people want the 200, right? Some people have space limitations and things like that.
Yeah.
You're building a machine like this. It feels to me you're building this because you need the build volume. So you need the 400 or the 500 because there really aren't that many. There really aren't that many options to print in 400 and 500 in a Core XY where it's not custom or it's not insanely expensive,
or it's not a Tronxy.
Or not, it's not a Tronxy. Yeah, there's just not that many options for you.
So
I would have said the majority of people will be going for a 400 or a 500. Some people perhaps are going for a 3. I was be
thinking about it.
How popular the 200 is, but
yeah,
maybe it will
be. Because if I was going to get a RatRig, it wouldn't be to add to the collection. It would be to get rid of maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and then I'm using that printer then because it's got the bigger build plate. And it's got the better speed, the quality. So it's replacing 3 or 4 printers.
Yeah. So we've got 2 other parcels here.
Was that a dig? Your Tronxy's not working, so I can't really say anything non-stick.
I would say I would love to criticize the Tronxy. And the second that it works...
Let us know.
Let us know, and then we'll criticize it. But up until now, basically a really bad table.
I haven't seen any functioning ones yet, really.
No. So these both are labeled. So one of these is labeled the enclosure, and one of these is labeled the core kit. So I'm going to leave the enclosure one in the box for the time being because we're not at that stage yet. So that is the one thing I do want to say is that you can buy the enclosure kit, but the enclosure kit is the panels and the printed parts. You can't get, sorry, not the panels, it's the fixings and the printed parts. I don't think so. So you can't get the panels from RatRig. So they give you the DXF files and you can send them to any CNC or acrylic manufacturer and they will cut the panels for you, but they're available on the GitHub.
That's what DeWitt did.
Yeah.
With his. And because he did it in quite a slow process, it was build, and his printing in the last couple of weeks has been, I haven't seen a printer put down a print as nice as his. He did a full dragon on his 500. It was incredible. The first layer was immaculate. I very rarely see anything that of that good quality straight away.
So, I mean, something to be clear about with this is this isn't supposed to be your first machine, right? This isn't supposed to be I want to buy something really good, so I'm going to go out and buy this. You do need to have some level of experience, I feel like, before you delve into something like this. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely agree that it's great to learn while doing, and it's great to, you should always be exposing yourself to new things, and building your machine from scratch is a great way to learn. Really don't feel like this should be your first learning experience, building a 400 by 400 machine. So this is incredibly heavy. just going to have to. I'm going to have to open this up on the sides. Jesus. Come on. Whew.
Yeah, that's it, Paul. Because what's that German content creator, 3D printing or something like that? He's obsessed with speed, on the Vorons and the RatRigs, and he's just done loads of he's just done a Prusa Mini with something and showing the cost of electricity, to actually use it.
Yeah,
quite interesting. And he's printing it like 1,000 millimeters a second on his RatRig, and he's on his Vorons, and his print quality is really good. And at that speed, he's getting probably a better first layer than I am on most of my printers.
Speaking of most of your printers, how are you getting on with the Ender 7?
It's got a lot of dust on it.
That's not a great start.
To be honest, I was having this conversation with Martin and 3D Mechanics and that the other day, and I really like the Ender 7. I do. But I don't need a printer that can print at that speed. It sounds silly, but like I get better prints off my Ender 3S1 or my Focus Odin or my CR10 Smart. I get better prints, and it might take an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. But if I wanted a printer that goes that fast...
To be fair, when you're doing 3D printing, like, you're not in it for the sprint. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. No, you're in it for the groupies.
Well, you're in it. You're in it for the same reason we're in it, which is the ladies.
Yeah, and you have to print
sheer
your own
amount of. I mean, at this point, I'm tired all the time. Like the amount of 3D printing groupies that we have.
That's why your PC was crashing all the time.
Yeah, I'm just constantly
spam bots from Russia
getting electrolytes. What plants crave.
But yeah, so I got a resin printers because I wanted to fill that gap between waiting for FDM.
Yeah.
And then because I've got bigger resin, I found something with the lasers that can fill that gap as well. Yeah. So instead of just having an FDM on and a resin on, I've got a laser on. So I'm finding things
nothing that quite fills the gap in your heart.
Apparently my heart's made of stone.
It's all right.
But yeah, the thing is, I would understand if the Ender 7 was of that size, 400, because that's where you would, if you're printing a bench on a 500 by 500, it's going to be slow.
Yeah.
In real physics of thing, but because the way the RatRig's tuned and made and everything, it's quick. The Ender 7 kind of, all right, it's fast. But is this T3 from Sunlu that they've just announced for £125 better?
Yeah.
Or this V400 that FL Sun have got coming out? The pictures came out today. The video, it looks like a work of art. Carbon fiber rod.
So I've seen the pictures, and I am very excited about it. I'm having conversations with them at the moment to see whether or not we can get one. So here's my concerns, right? From what I have seen, I'm not particularly... Oh, the rods are in there. Okay. Fun place to leave lead screws. I'm not particularly...
Paul didn't want to tell you they were in there.
No, I don't think anyone did. Did they?
No, he was letting you fall for that one.
I was just say, yeah. It's super fast, right? It's got the carbon fiber rods, and I'm really liking the look of their direct drive extruder. However, I have been led to believe they may have departed from linear rails and they've gone back to linear rods.
Yeah.
But they are claiming that it is quiet, like silent compared to the Super Racer. And I know the Super Racer isn't loud. So,
yeah, but James has got the Super Racer, right? And he's a 3D printing business. And
yeah,
would his customers continue to go, please print it on the Super Racer because it's quicker? They're not, are they? He's using his farm of Prusas. I know obviously he's got his Rays and all them in there, but when you've got a business, you want quality. You don't want like it to be at 250 millimeters a second, 400 millimeters a second. You can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
you've said before, like Prusa's, you buy Prusa's because they work, and they will work for every day
and
that
it's
you want to
exactly the
have
same
used it.
comment I made about the blocks machine.
Yeah,
I really like
Nice
the blocks
machine, that blocks machine.
Yeah, it is really nice, and it's different. I say it's different. I mean, it's not different, but you know what I mean. It's a different brand than the core lot.
It's old school.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's doing it. I tell you what, it is smashing out some quality prints. I am very impressed with how well it's working, and it's very rapidly turning into a machine where it's just one of those click and forget machines. You just turn it on, you put the SD card in, you start it, and then you turn around and off you go.
To be honest, it's the same with that longer LK5 we reviewed.
Yeah.
So
you also
this
say
print I'm doing at the minute has been going for 95 hours. There is not one line out of place. And it's a heavily detailed print.
James, you love your Hornet, don't you? Where
I do.
90%, 90 out of 100 people will be like, oh no, right? But Martin likes his Hornet. You like your Hornet. You know, I can put my Focus and my S1 on and hit print and walk away, and they're fine.
Yeah.
My Ender 7, I have to sit there and cuddle it for half an hour.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You want to get to a stage where you are just clicking and forgetting. You know, you're literally just putting on a print, walking away, and not having to worry about it. And that's why I've been such a Sidewinder fanboy for as long as I have been, because I put something on the Sidewinder and it just works. And I've actually just fitted. Does it keep you warm? Yeah, it does. Heats up my summer house lovely.
See, I'm getting really worried, right, that all companies are trying to be the quickest FDM printer going. Because, yeah, it sounds good and it looks good, but I don't particularly want one that does 400 millimeters a second. Because where's the fun in that? Where's the tinkering gone? You know, you've got resin.
Yeah, so I suppose that's difficult, isn't it? Because for most people, so don't get me wrong. So if you take the Sidewinder, for example, right? The Sidewinder is a machine that has been my go-to workhorse for quite some time. I love using it. I have just put on the Triangle Labs Hemera clone. They don't call it the Hemera clone, but it super is. And I tell you what, it's printing gorgeous. The only issue I've ever really had with my Sidewinder is that so you can buy a replacement Sidewinder toolhead.
And it's what we've always done, and it's terrible.
Yeah. So you can buy a replacement Sidewinder toolhead on AliExpress for about £28, I think it is, 28, 30 quid. And what it's done is it has made me lazy. Because anytime anything goes wrong, I've got 2 or 3 tool heads sitting in a box. There's 3 screws. You unplug the cable, you undo the 3 screws, you change the tool head over, and now you've basically got a brand new machine.
And that's what happens with the CR10 Smart. I cannot buy that hot end on its own. I have to buy it in a pack for £26 off AliExpress, and it's unplug, connect all this, and you're losing, you know, the ability to actually problem solve. And
I don't do any
repair.
problem solving on my Sidewinder.
I don't like problem solving. I like buying something that just screws on and fixes it.
Yeah, and don't be wrong. It's so wasteful because it means I must have 12 disassembled or in varying degrees of working Sidewinder toolheads. Must have 12. And all right, it means that I've stolen parts off of them for other builds. I've gone and I've taken bits and pieces off and I've used them on custom stuff, or I've used them as replacement parts for other machines. But it's incredibly wasteful what I'm doing. Like, it's incredibly wasteful because I'm literally just, I'm just throwing away a perfectly functioning machine, a perfectly functioning toolhead. There's no reason to change the whole thing. and it removes my desire to do any level of tinkering. So I will very quickly just share this web page. So this web page is what goes off of the GitHub, what comes off of this QR code, and this is their instructions all broken down into all the stages and all the order you need to do them in. There's some video guides in there as well, the internal spool holder, how to do the enclosures, all the wiring, everything. You go into prep, and this reminds me very, very much of the Prusa. Of the Prusa Mark III instructions. They're
Except
really...
it hasn't got hundreds of little pictures of Joseph Prusa next to his picture.
It doesn't have hundreds of pictures. Yeah. You haven't got to deposit one Joseph Prusa sperm sample to be able to access the site. But you can see that it gives you all of the information, nice and easy. Even tells you how difficult or how long it's going to take to do these sections. So this particular section, 20 minutes. So it really, really clear instructions. So I really like that. So I'm going to start off by doing the preparation stuff. And the first thing we do is we cut this belt in half. The belt is shipped in one piece. The belt lengths, according to the machine size, are 5 meters a piece. So this should be a 10-meter thing. And you literally just cut this directly in half. So
what have people been printing this week?
Well, I've actually spent all day printing on my Harlot 1 Plus, trying to get it dialed in.
And how's that gone?
It's taken my soul away. Like, I really like.
I no longer know the taste of human food.
So I know the quick.
There is only Harlot,
and I just can't get what I'm happy with. So like, I started off at like 5.5. Exposure.
Yeah.
Overexposed.
0.5. Jesus, that's high.
Then I went to 1.5 to underexposed, so I'd have a balance.
Yeah.
And apparently the best exposure is 4. But then when you print at 4, all you get is good looking supports and a miserable print. So there's something seriously like it actually has a stroke when you're printing on it, because it goes down to like do its little business, and then all the power goes off, the screen stays on, and then it wakes up 2 minutes later and goes, oh, hello, and then gets on with the print.
Right.
Well, James, I'm not actually going to be cosplaying. I've got
recognizing
Boba Fett going on here.
Well, while we're talking of Boba Fett, I've been having so much fun with my resin printers this week. So
my one's larger than yours.
Well, there is a comeback for that, but so I actually signed up to Photos Mint Patreon.
Yeah,
and it was £4, and I have access to over 100 files from like the beginning to now. They are probably some of the best pre-supported files I've ever used. Like, I mean, you print it, you take it off, you wash it, and they just come off. It's like, oh, it's incredible. But like, so this took about, I think it was about 8 hours to do, and it's incredible. Like,
well, I'll finish this week, James, for cost print. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan.
Love it.
It's got the hair and everything. So, from the Lord of the Rings, it's Ayama's helmet.
You could have been an extra in the movie, Mike.
Oh, I wish I was. I'd have been so pleased.
So one of my favorite prints was actually the Moon Knight I've done this week, which James and everyone's seen.
I keep going to print Moon Knight, but I'm just completely uninterested in the paint job.
Oh, I'm not painting. Oh, it's not that.
You're just doing it in white filament.
James,
no, grey.
It's a Lord of the Rings helmet. I will gladly walk away and all day in that because it's Lord of the Rings and that equals cool.
So I have the King of the Dead I printed, Mike, which is probably the best print I've ever done.
One.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
the detail in the face, like, is insane.
You can actually get from, I think it's from Green Stuff World, UV paint. So you paint that normally. You can go over it with a UV paint in
Yeah.
whatever colour you want it. And when you put UV light on it, it'll glow up.
And then I did this last night. And this took 9 hours.
I spent today repainting Sting and repainting Nancy. So I've gone like full Lord of the Rings this week.
And that's what I've noticed with like Photosmint's Patreon. Actually, there's like a theme every like month. So like there's lots of Lord of the Rings stuff at the moment. There's a lot of like Batman, and you're talking like old school Batman from when I was a kid, you know, that sort of bust. But his designs, the detail, like it just blows my mind. You know, like Clock Spring, amazing. You know, the stuff he does is functional. It looks good. It does what it's meant to do. Who else have I got?
James could go as a cave troll.
Cave troll. So I also do Flexi Factories Patreon, which, to be honest, I actually do it for a bit of fun for the kids. They love that stuff, you know, and it pays for itself. You know, what, £6 a month? The kids are happy for a month, so they break it till the next one's out next month and gets recycled. But Photosmint, that is a really interesting patron. Like he's dead sociable. You know, he chats with everyone that goes on the Discord.
I think he used to release a lot of his models through what was the Facebook group?
My Mini Factories on. I think a lot of his are on now.
No,
Factory. Oh, I can't remember. But he's got someone.
Did my original Aquaman and Batman Insanity.
So he uses someone who's actually part of Lychee Slicer, you know, Mango, the company. And he uses them to pre-slice the files, you know, so the supports, like they thought I was a bit crazy asking what size drain holes they put on the prints. I just want to know, because I want to learn how, you know, they're saying it's 6mm. Like, all right, that's fair enough, because I didn't know it was 6mm. I was always going for about 2.5. But
yeah, I have to admit, I do really small drain holes when I do mine.
Yeah. And I was kind of like,
I put big ones in. I usually go for like 4 or 5 mil.
So,
and when you've looked at it before, you went, your drain hole's big enough.
Yeah. So like they're like that. They fit, those little holes fit like an LED Dodie lights. You know, the little bulbs you can get.
Yeah.
And they fit. And I'm like, I've learned something new this week.
And to be fair, like that is a large part of the hobby, right? A large part of the hobby is that you're exposed to new things, new ways of doing stuff, you know, new things. And
so I don't know if anyone who paints their models on here, we've started watching a new, well, it's not a new YouTube channel, it's a new one to us because we've only just found it. Called Ground Effect. Ground Affected. For anybody who wants to learn to paint, this guy's tutorials are the best I've seen. Yeah, he comes out with stunning results, but does it very simply.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
So good, one of his tutorials that I immediately went out and bought all the paints he used for it.
And that's it. Like James was posted a link the other day. Is that the one you're talking about? The channel you're watching now, the painting.
Yeah.
So I was looking at them, and then like you kind of see people's like attempt at painting, and you're like, it blows my mind, you know, that someone's got that concentration. You know, to detail, they've got like, I don't know, like a little bit of white inside of an eye, and the eyes are standing out from the helmet, and you're just like, what do you do in your life to get to that point? Because
not a lot else, I would imagine.
I would have given up.
I've got to him and say he's not got a lot on.
I would have put it in the bin by now.
You think about it. So that guy spends a lot of time painting. He does a lot of commission work as well. So James, when you first started painting, and you look at your latest paint job, say Osriel, do you think there's a difference there? Because there's a massive difference.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if you was painting every day.
Yeah.
Well, you get that knack, don't you? you know, because it is important to understand, you know, like me, I've got no patience because I'd ruin a paint because I won't let it dry. That's my problem. I don't have, like, when I've resin printed something, I make sure it finishes before I go to bed so I can wash it and then leave it overnight to air dry. Because I just put it in the UV.
James is the same. He's got no patience, especially with painting.
I hate doing painting.
Oh, it makes, do you know what? I fall asleep thinking about it. Like, my missus would be doing her nails, like, when I go in, and I'll fall asleep next to her, and she goes, "Oh, you're falling asleep?" I'm like, "Yeah, because you're doing your nails. It's boring." I can't think of anything worse.
I hate everything about you, and I want to fall asleep.
Oh, God.
It's because he sold the telly.
Yeah.
And he's a tattoo artist. And do you know what? Tattoo artists, they're like next level artists, aren't they? Because it's the way they mix ink.
The difference with tattoo artists is they get very good at one-time deals.
One-trick ponies.
No, so like if you're painting a model and you mess it up, you paint over it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You can't do that with a tattoo. It's a one-time deal.
So he's doing the wicked models. Yes, Robert, you are right, because that's what James on my Twitch channel the other day. He actually posted the link for it, and I was just blown away by the detail.
Oh no! So that chap's different. That's Ben painting.
All right.
So
okay.
Ben painting is
Ben paint is crazy.
Doing some astonishing stuff. Ben
His
painting
eyes. Those eyes look more lifelike than my own eyes right now. They were just incredible.
That's probably because you're falling asleep.
But that's you're not painting, so you're all right. But that's the difference, isn't it? Those features that you automatically look at on someone's painting of a print, that's what you look for? The eyes, the nose.
I'm immediately going to start painting something just to piss Carl off. What can I paint?
No. Oh God, I'm getting tired already. Oh.
Just thinking about it.
It sounds like too much effort. That just put the paintbrush down, Mike.
I'm going to carry on painting this just to annoy you.
Who is that?
What is it?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, the Leo one. Jesus Christ! Not picked that up in like a year and a half.
Yeah, I know. I've used it for the skin tone tutorial, and I've never done anything else with it.
Amazing how motivating Spite is for Mike.
Yeah.
You can't pay to paint something for a year and a half, but the second someone says,
also to go with it,
it's just.
I've also got Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But saying that, I did say that I would try and give painting a go this year, but it's just like I need to enjoy it. I'll probably fall asleep and paint my own face.
That'd be a fucking achievement.
And that's why I probably got so much like people's paintings like yours when I see them, and the fact that you've blown them up like 100 times bigger just like blows my mind with the detail, like the moss, like the bits of grass. I didn't even know you could buy that in a shop.
Yeah.
So Games Workshop actually sell them.
And like your mammoth one you did, Mike, with the ice. Like,
to tell you the truth, I only printed that model because I had the ice here and I needed a model to use it on, so I found something that was set in winter.
You could have done Ice Age.
Yeah.
You could have done the squirrel chasing his nut.
Yeah, there's not much in the paint job in that though. Like that mammoth's got all armor and stuff on it. If something looks too simple a paint job, I don't really want to print it. So why I don't have Moon Knight.
But it sounds like 900 hours you'll never get back.
You what?
You'll never get those 900 hours you spent on that back.
No, that is very true. Oh my God, I've got to do 6. Oh God. 2, 4.
Matt German almost fell asleep in church.
8, 10.
You know what I am going to do? I actually bought. I'll see if I can put the link on it afterwards on this video. So the channel we had been watching, he did a skin tone tutorial with an airbrush using a set of paints, a set of Nocturna paints, which I'd not even heard of before. Apparently they're like a premium Vallejo brand. So I think I might actually paint Brad Pitt tomorrow using his tutorial.
Have you got your mammoth to hand, Mike? Because James is asking. He says he hasn't seen it.
Have I got it to hand? Not really, no. Like,
Maybe
if my arms were 8 feet long.
Yeah.
It's a foot tall.
Where is Big
I'm
Mike? We've not
walking
seen
in
Big
church,
Mike on
usually
screen
I walk
before.
back out. Yeah, Andrew, I normally have to walk out of church
Yeah,
because I start
that's Big
to smoke.
Mike.
There's Big Mike.
And the
Big
mammoth, you can't see it. It's right up in that corner over there.
To be fair, I don't think it was actually supposed to be set in a nice world, was it?
It's a
Because
mammoth,
it's
of course
actually
it is.
I'm pretty sure it's a war mammoth from Lord of the Rings.
No, it's not from Lord of the Rings.
I
That's
thought
an
it was
elephant.
300.
That's an oliphant.
Oh right.
And they were
Was it
elephants.
300?
This is a mammoth.
Okay.
It's basically a mammoth in the same design as the Oliphants from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
They just made it furry.
So this
Is
one
anyone
plate
keeping
done.
count of
Yeah,
all these?
liquid
bits
mask
up?
is really good, James.
So I was actually talking to James, I think it was today or yesterday, about the M3 Max and the amount of resin it's costing to actually physically print on it. It's like it makes me cry inside a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna put us back like that so we can still chat because I've got 14 plates to do where I've got to put these nuts on the back. So,
but then the pictures James has sent me from the prints they're incredible. From his M3 Max. Looks nice.
yeah, we've got an M3 Max on the way, and it's something we need to sort out. We've been playing with the Opus, and we finally made some progress on the Opus. So it's really weird. So the dental resin that it comes with, which is pretty much, I guess, Photocentric's version of a standard resin. They don't really have anything else. They don't have like a draft resin or anything like that. That's a 2.5 second layer cure time. But when you do, so I'm now using any cubic resin, and it's a 1 second a layer cure time.
Wow, that's quick.
So when I was trying to use the stock profile for any cubic resin, and it wasn't working, it kept failing, and I thought there was something wrong with the printer, and it wasn't. It was that I was massively over curing every layer, like massively so. So
it
I
just
did some
shows you though,
work with
doesn't
Matt.
it? The UV power, doesn't it? You don't realize that. So like with the Corality Harlots, they're not actually the UV is not directly under the screen.
No, it's a parallel light source or something, isn't it?
Yeah, so it bounces off a mirror. And like, so on my Mono X, so when it has, between layers, it has like a time off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So my Mono X is 0.5 seconds off. My Harlot Plus is 4 seconds. Like, this 3.5 seconds is a big difference.
So I mean, I'll reiterate this point that we made the other day. There is not a better bargain to be had in resin printing than going and buying a Mono X right now. Any cubic, it has gone to war on pricing. I'm assuming they're trying to get rid of their old Mono X stock, so the M3 line can sort of take over as the only line they need to run. But they are doing Mono X's right now for $300. What was it? $350?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's a ridiculous amount of
£280
money
for a 4K monochrome 8.9-inch screen. There is nothing on the market at the moment that can touch that for price and quality of machine. Like, it's just not.
And James has just hit the nail on the head there. It's his quickest machine that he's got, and it is quick.
Yeah.
So when I did this one, it was in ABS like resin as well, so it needs a little bit longer. That was just under 9 hours. It's a decent size. That's 9 hours, and it is quick. And do you know what? It's really quiet. Like,
I have to say that I'm looking forward to when resin prices start to really come down, because right now it's about twice as expensive, give or take. It's about twice as expensive to print something in resin as it is in FDM, give or take. And that's a lot. So when you're dealing with something, that's the first one I dropped. Oh,
So
that Loki and Sylvia, that Loki and Sylvia printed took about 1.5 liters.
Yeah,
and it was all followed out.
So I was looking at, Wicked 3D, the Moon Knight boss that they've got. So I was looking at doing that, and I sliced it all, and I did it all in resin. I just wanted to see how much it would cost. I just stopped after doing the base because I completely understand. I would love to do it all in resin and go, look at this. This is amazing. And it would be amazing. But I would be buried 6 feet under the ground because she would see the amount of resin that's being used. And I get where you're coming from, that features, hands, faces, you need to do it in resin. It stands out. It makes your models look better because of it.
Yeah.
So I could have done the base for Loki and Sylvie.
Yeah.
I could have done the base in resin on that. But I guarantee you the base alone would have cost me £100.
Easy.
Oh, minimum.
And the people out there that doing like Uncle Jesse, he's getting a lot of resin for free.
Yeah.
So he has the ability to do that. That's his luck that he's part of that resin crew that get all the good supplies and deals. The likes of me, I'm happy doing these busts in resin because FDM just wouldn't be anywhere near it at all.
Yeah.
Even my 2K
the difference is as well is people like Uncle Jesse and people like Joel and people like that, they are making a decent amount of money from their channel.
Yeah.
They're making a decent amount of money from their channel, as well as the fact that they get, free materials and things like that. And don't get me wrong, we didn't pay full price for this RatRig.
But we did still pay.
But we did still pay. And we still paid the import. And when we do any prints on it, we will pay for the
import alone. We might get sent a printer for free, but sometimes the import alone is 250 quid.
Yeah. So
the import for the Gufu Mido was £395.
Yeah.
And that was because of the weight and how much that printer is. So because that included the 400-degree hot ends, the Gufu Mido cost us 390 quid.
And I nearly got away with it as well. If my car hadn't been in the bloody garage, I'd have got away with it.
So at the moment, I've been speaking to a lot of people, like resin by putting alcohol ink in transparent resin, clear resin.
Oh,
so
right.
I've actually ordered some, and I'm actually going to do it on my mono SE because it's a 2K screen. It'll do, and if it's broken, it's easy to repair. It's cheap, and parts are easy to get on AliExpress for nothing. So I'm going to have a little play with that because I think so mixing your colors does have a really good effect. So like I did these transparent blue lizards and I left them out in the sun in the rain and everything, and the color changes in that resin is incredible just by sun and a bit of rain on it and everything else. I did that with my stealth burner on my Vcore trans green. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And there is a place for resin, you are right. And like you say, these people get a lot of stuff for free, so they can afford to put 70 quid in a vat.
But as well, if Uncle Jesse pays 250 quid in materials to do an awesome model, he'll make that back easily and more from the video that he produces.
Yeah. And not just from YouTube, TikTok.
Yeah, from everything that they do. Yeah,
they're all, so like so we've spoken to Ben a bit, haven't we, James? Actually, through Akuma Mods, through Matt and Ben. Obviously, he's got 3.2 million on TikTok now,
something like that. Yeah, 42 million views.
Yeah, and his it's just his content is he's more personal to people. So he's actually on the videos and he's talking about what he's going to do. He's just brought a keyboard that was 500 quid. And he's probably got most of that back already just by his video.
Yeah.
And
there was a girl. Admittedly, she had nothing to do with 3D printing. She was doing makeup tutorials or something, and she mentioned, she said, like, she couldn't believe the amount of money she was making off of TikTok videos. So she used to do a TikTok video would cost £200 for her to make, and she'd advertise your product, or she'd do a tutorial and feature your stuff or whatever. She's now got 2.5 million subs, and she's got like 150 million views or something like that on TikTok. One video for her, which can only be like 60 seconds long, one video she got paid 10 grand for.
Yeah. And yeah, non-stick's
like,
right.
And that's
Uncle
not
Jesse
including
did.
that's not including the monetization she would have made on it as well.
Yeah. And because he did put a video out, didn't he, on his YouTube, of that he made 16 grand in 1 month for that Xbox controller. So he is on. He does that. They do sell a lot of models as well.
Yeah.
But
and I want to be so clear, 100% luck to him.
Yeah.
Like, he has found a way to make money out of something that he genuinely loves doing. And fair play to him. You know, he has absolutely smashed it. And I've watched his videos. They're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
He does some excellent stuff. You know, I make that sound like I'm really bitter about the fact that we don't get, you know, free resin and things like that. Not at all. We are incredibly privileged with the people who sponsor our channel. Incredibly privileged. The work that we're now doing with direct computing, we are incredibly privileged that people see value in what we're doing. Like,
but you've gone the other route though with the computer business. You know, that backing from them is that you use a computer to break up models because you make them bigger. You know, it's all right saying I'm going to get into 3D printing and I need this and need that. You actually need a decent computer to be able to actually run your slicers on Lightsheet. Or...
So I've just had to upgrade my PC, and the reason I had to do it is because I edit our videos.
Yeah.
And my PC couldn't cope with it anymore. It was killing
it. Most like Uncle Jesse, he's buying a brand new MacBook every year they come out to edit videos because that's what they are made to do.
Yeah.
He's paying the $2,000-$4,000 to do it because that's what he needs. But he's getting his money back.
Yeah.
16 joining plates done. Time.
But
7 days.
What I do like about my current PC is you can set the lights in the case to certain things. So I set mine to CPU temperature. So when I'm editing, I know when I'm starting to max it out because the lights go from green to yellow to red.
But that's it. Like, I've got a PC here that helps me run Lightburn. It helps me. I can do all my slicing for my FDM. And let's be honest, resin slicing is actually quite a drain on most computers. So I use my MacBook for that, which doesn't really struggle with it. But you do need a really good computer for a resin slicer.
This is a tip that Matt Farmer gave me a little while ago. When you're slicing your resin models, never slice them to a USB stick. Slice them to your computer and then copy them over to your USB stick.
I do that.
Because the bit rate on your USB stick is too slow to keep up with the thing that your PC is processing out.
Yeah. And I know we've had this conversation, and it's because James as well, he paid for Lightsheet Slicer just to see what it was like. So I jumped on the bandwagon, and it does make a huge difference. One of the biggest issues I've found with Creality's new resin printer is you put a USB in, great. You can put your file that you want to print onto the actual main board, and you don't need the USB. When it puts it on, you get a choice of print settings or slicer settings. That shouldn't be an option. I've just spent 10 minutes slicing a resin file to go on that printer. It should just do what I want it to do. If you select the wrong one, it goes to stock settings then. So if you just spent 10 minutes, you know, I'm going to have it at 1.5 seconds and do all this and do all that. You push the wrong button, it's gone back to 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It's gone back to 6 bottom layers at 40 seconds. That shouldn't be on a $400 printer.
Nah.
You shouldn't have that option. I shouldn't have to click the wrong button to find out I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like I've connected the camera up that it says works. Guess what? It doesn't work. Surprisingly,
It's really annoying when especially if something's got a diagnostic setting, and it's like, oh, this is working, and you're like, if it was, why would I be using the diagnostic tool?
Yeah,
I'd already know that it works if it were working. Why would I need you to tell me that it is working? I want you to tell me why it isn't working, because that's the only reason I'm using this tool.
So the Mono X, and I know it's old, it's a year old. The fact that I've got 10 to 15 options while it's actually printing that I can adjust if I want to on the fly is incredible.
Yeah.
The Harlot doesn't have that. And that is actually more expensive than the Mono X. And it is a bigger printer, the Mono X. If I sold that Harlot, I'd buy a Mono X tomorrow for it.
It's, yeah. I mean, we've spoken on this. Spoken on this channel before about, how Creality are not designing their machines, that they are being designed by third parties, and then they're selling them. And that level of sort of user acceptance testing is very clear. They aren't able to send these out to be evaluated.
I've got a Benchy. That's the only thing I've got off that printer that I can show.
Yeah, but it's so good.
Oh, it is good. But I have to print on the actual build plate. Oh, light speed's in.
Not on a raft, you mean?
No, as soon as I put something on with rafts or supports, it just drops off.
Lightspeed 3D. Hey. So it's interesting. I haven't used the Hallett series. I don't want to use a machine that requires me to use their slicer. I don't need to now. I don't want to use a machine that I don't want to use a machine that that requires me to use their Wi-Fi. Certainly, I don't want that.
And they got hacked, didn't they, the other day? Actually, Creality's was it their Twitter account or their website? One of them got hacked. Yeah. And it was just like, and a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about what was going on Twitter, where they blocked like Sam Prentice because of their Creality Cloud stuff. They blocked him on Twitter. They were blocking Joel. They blocked, all the big names you like 3D Edutech.
Oh, I need a Twitter account so that Creality can block me.
But they were blocking them, and then they were unblocking them like a week later. And it was, Carl, have you noticed that Shooterbox is faster times than Lychee? I have, yes. But Lychee seems to be a little bit better for the amount of resin that it predicts to use. I have found.
Be interesting to know.
I don't know why they blocked Sam.
James, although Lychee is saying a quicker time, is it actually printing quicker? But is it actually printing quicker, or is it just incorrectly telling you the time?
So,
because if you try something in
so £5 I paid for the first month of Lychee Pro, and I think it's worth every penny. And I know you disagree because you say the free version shouldn't be slower than a paid version. Now, I was quite shocked that what I was able to actually adjust on Lychee, because I hated it originally because I was doing it with my Mono SE and I just couldn't get it to print. So I went back to Anycubic Slicer for it because I just didn't understand enough. And they had that massive update a couple of months ago, and it's like refreshed my opinion of it. Now I've tried Shootybox, and I don't get that either. And I know Matt Farmer loves it. He's got the Pro. I think you've got the Pro version as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll be honest to say I don't think the Pro version is necessary. I say it's not any better. I think the support generation is slightly better than the
But you know, when I load Shooter Box, it looks like a Super Mario's game loading. That white box with 19 whatever, it looks like a games is loading on my laptop. With Lychee Slicer, it's like it's more, I don't know, like there's more thought gone into it. It's more attractive to the eye.
right.
Like,
I get you.
like the ability to hollow in 3D or 2D.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So I find like Anycubic Slice I really enjoy because like when I'm hollowing a model, I don't want supports in the model, you know, in the hollow. But with Lychee Slicer, it gives you the option. But then when you go through like the progression, you know you need that support, and it's putting it in there because you need it.
So that's an interesting point. So Paul Awesome put up saying it was all of those who pointed out that that Creality was stealing all the paid for STLs, and they all got banned from the Creality account. So
Yes.
okay, so first of all, I've got absolutely no proof or any reason to necessarily think that that's what's happening. However, when you upload to the Creality cloud, it is in the user agreement that Creality are then able to access your STL files. And they are now. The problem that you have is that, especially if you are printing stuff that is either proprietary or is part of, so let's say you're selling your prints, right? And you are you're selling something that a customer has designed. You are legally responsible for making sure that file doesn't get out into the ether somewhere for other people to be able to get their hands on. Like, imagine if you were working with Ford and they asked you to, and they were getting some brackets printed, and then it turned out that all those brackets then turned up on AliExpress. They're tracing that back to you. You did that. That's your breach, and you're the one who's getting sued, not Creality.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's such a risk to expose yourself in that way. Such a risk. And I just don't understand.
But that comes down to Chinese market and the rest of the world market. So if I took Creality and brought it to the UK and started selling their printers, I would be locked up for the false advertisement. I'd be out of business in weeks. Because you can't say this printer does this when it doesn't actually do that. The false advertisement is allowed from there. All right, the S1 is expensive. It's an expensive printer for an Ender 3, but it does a really good job. It does what it's meant to do. It works well. That Sprite hot end is fantastic. But the stuff that they're putting in the small print and like the cloud, if they were in the UK and they did that, they would be in jail.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Right. Okay. Hold on.
And
so what
Paul, that was it, Paul. I'm trying to think who it was. There was someone who's had a lot of files taken that he's done and put onto there, and he was trying to get them removed from the Creality cloud. And they started blocking him, and then it rolled on to everyone else. But you're opening yourself up to those allegations if, like, you know, if I've paid for like my Focus Mint one and I put it on there, I'd be devastated to know that I've put a paid Patreon STL on there without knowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then I'm taking it out of his pocket.
It's just as bad as the people who leak them on Thingiverse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like Eastman, the amount of buffs that Eastman's got on there for free is fantastic because you've got to give a little bit so you get people's interest. And that's how it works. All right, non-fam.
So that's the 420.
You know what you're paying for a file.
440.
You're paying for hours and hours of modeling and blending and sculpting and like 3D, like 3D mechanics. Yeah, his iPad's broke at the moment, but my God, you know when he's designing things, you just look at it and like, I couldn't do that even if I tried.
Yeah.
If I remix something, I'm putting a square thing on a triangle thing, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I've got so much admiration and respect for anyone that can design just like the simplest of things. Like I can sit there and measure a box. I can pull it in Tinkercad and I will print it. Guess what? It is smaller than what I actually went and set it about. But that's why I pay £4 a month to Focus. That's why I pay £6 a clock spring. Because
That's
I can't
why
do
you pay things like Wicked Patreon, because
that's incredible.
I could be learning that for 6-7 years, and I still probably won't produce something like that.
Like
Yeah,
you go
Wicked
on.
is.
So you go on the
Wicked
Patreon
right now. I'll happily say is one
they're
of.
the best Patreon.
I think they're one of the best Patreons available right now. I think.
Yeah, and because their models aren't small either. You know, when you actually break it down and slice it.
That Loki Sylvie I've just finished, that was just 100%. It wasn't scaled up.
Gam body as well. Yeah, Gam body's incredible. Like,
Gambody are doing some good stuff, but I suppose the thing I just remind people is that Gambody aren't actually making their models, right?
It's just a sell site.
A marketplace like Colt 3D is.
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking that. You know, that's what they're doing, and that's fine.
The good thing about Gambody is all their models are tested.
Yeah.
And they know there's no. I've only ever had one flaw in a model from Gambody, and that was Jack Sparrow. And I messaged. Can't remember who I messaged. I said, like, there is a fault with this model. It's to do with the dreadlocks on the right-hand side of his head. There was a gap between when you put the two parts together. There was actually a gap on the dreadlock. Easy fill, and you never notice it. But I messaged him and said, like, there is a fault with that. And it's about 3 days later, he sent me an email back saying it's been fixed.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. That's what you pay for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Photos Mint last night on the Discord, someone was printing, I think they were trying to do the Moon Knight and it kept failing. And Idle Hams is handler on Discord, and he's the one that pre-slices all the files for Photos Mint with the others. He was there, DM'd him and sorted it. He went through, like, do this test, send me the picture, I'll help you. And that was at 11 o'clock at night. I was just like, I'll just leave you with him to deal with it now, because I'm going to go to sleep.
Do you know Matt from Le Sangriere? Facebook and YouTube. You seen him? He's done the Ecto 1 Ghostbusters car.
Yes.
Yeah. I speak to Matt quite often. And what I'm printing at the minute is only supposed to be that big. But as it is, this one's going to be about 3.5 feet tall. And I needed it cut up. And I wanted it hollowed, because otherwise it just would have been a crazy amount of filament. And I tried for 2 days to cut this model up, and it just, usually I can cut them up fine on Mesh Mixer, but this one just would not have it, and I couldn't get my head around it. And I messaged him on like Monday, I think it was, and said, look, this is the problem I'm having with it. And he really knows his way around Mesh Mixer. He went, send me the files, I'll have a look at it. It took him 5 hours. He messaged me back. He went, I've sent them all over to you. 5 hours it took him.
Now that's so I wouldn't know where to start to like supersize a model to print and then put it into Mesh Mixer. I wouldn't know where to start. That's why I have to stay with whatever the size is, because I wouldn't know where to start, how to break it. I know James I spoke to James about it, and he makes it sound so easy. But
so when I do it, I don't size it to the size I want. I cut it at the size it is, and then scale each size when I print it.
Okay.
But what scale it for me first.
Scale our prints is we normally take the biggest part, whatever that part might be,
and scale it to fit on the print.
And then we scale that to the biggest we can print it. And then once we've done that, that's when we then end up trying to.
James, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Lubin would do it for you, but again, that's another subscription.
But also, I didn't just want it cut. I wanted it hollowed as well. And I think the problem he had was, one, there was a lot of problems with a model that he had to repair before he even started cutting it. And although the externals of this model are stunning, the internals apparently were like a skip fire. So when he was trying to hollow it, it was a real... He said, I started off with the best way I thought I'd do it. That didn't work. He said, I went to plan B. He said, well, in the end, it was the 5th try, the 5th attempt at doing it in a different way. He managed to get it done.
So, yeah. So, see, Luban, I've had a play with Luban, and it looks like an Atari game. Like, the graphic. And I'm not slagging Luban off, but, you know, Matt German does incredible lithophanes on there. You know, from what it is, and it has so many functions on there. I just can't get my head around it. So I go on itchy lithophane and do this, and it does what I need it to do. But
that's what I've used before when I've done one. Just go on there, tell them the size you want it.
Yeah, and it does all the hard work for you. I don't know. It's got so many functions. I don't know. I just get lost in it, really. I think because it's not...
The reason I use Mesh Mixer...
There are a lot of options.
The reason I use Mesh Mixer when I'm cutting stuff up is because Matt from Le Sanglier actually did a video of how to cut stuff on Mesh Mixer. So when I started cutting stuff, I just used to have his video open as I was doing it, and I just followed his instructions.
So on Luban, that tattoo feature is fantastic. You know, the tattoo... The way you can put a tattoo on a print and turn it into lithophane, I think it's brilliant. But again, there's too many options for it. I just want to go on and make a lithophane. I don't want to go on and have to go through 17 different things to get to that lithophane.
I know what you mean. I think the problem I have is that, because I've used Luban a couple of times, and it's
overcomplicated.
It tends to use. So for me, it's that he tends to use a lot of sort of terms that I suppose I should probably understand. They're things that, like, I feel like he uses terms that I probably should know, and I don't. And it's things like he doesn't call something an air gap. He calls it like, you know, he calls it something strange, and I don't know what it means, and therefore I don't know how to use it properly. And it's me. Now, it's not the program. It's that I don't know how, like, why he's called it what he's called it, or what that feature does. And that's what I find a bit irritating, if I'm honest.
But that comes down to usability.
I don't understand why he's using like unique terms when a lot of the terms when someone says to me, "Oh, that's what that is," I'm like, "Well, then why isn't it called that?
Yeah.
Why don't you call a spade a spade?"
I suppose that's what makes Luban stand out.
It's the same as Simplify 3D. So we used Simplify 3D for a couple of years, didn't we?
Yeah.
3 years, maybe. And when we started using Cura, we were like, well, that's easier because you've just got a button you press and you can flatten something onto the build plate.
Yeah.
And then I see something where if you control whatever letter it is in Simplify, it does the same thing. Except nowhere in any of the like file, edit, or anywhere, there's not a button for it, you know, that you can press. You've just got to know that if you press, like, say it's Control K, it'll flatten it both. And when I told James, you went absolutely spare, didn't you?
So I've been using Simplify at that point for an inhuman amount of time. I reckon I've been using Luban I reckon I've been using Simplify for 2 years at that point.
3 years,
easily. The hours that I have spent trying to perfectly align a build surface. Hi, Kaima. The amount of times I've spent trying to align a build surface perfectly with the build plate,
like 0.2 down on the end.
Like I was angry about it for days.
I'm
still angry about it now.
And I can't even remember what the command is, but still angry about it.
I was so annoyed. I was so irritated. Make sure the frame is square. The diagonals should be equal.
So what I've noticed as well, a lot of people are using like Prusa slicer for resin printing, and then importing it into like Shooty Box or into Lychee, and then putting it onto the memory stick.
Exploring with
Because
Matt. I'm in the right place now.
So this is Matt from Under the Hot End. He's one of the mods there for us, and he's done a bit of designing as well.
Right, so these ones again. Loosely attached 6 corner brackets.
Is James still in chat? Because obviously he uses Prusa a lot, doesn't he? Slicer. I wonder if
he does. Yeah.
I wonder if he's used Prusa Slicer for his anycubic resins, or like
I know a few people that have used them, right? And to be fair, again, I think Prusa Slicer is really good. The only reason why I won't move away from Cura is because when I changed to Cura and they started doing tree supports, we cut our filament usage in half. I commented on Facebook. I use Fusion 360 to say, right. So we tend to use NetFab for a lot of our cutting.
I don't. I use Mesh Mixer.
Oh, you use Mesh Mixer, do you? Oh, okay. Yeah. I tend to use NetFab.
So James uses Super Slicer for exporting resin files.
Really?
Unless that's a typo. Oh, Martin's in the house.
Oh, Martin's as well. Hello, Martin. Oh, we're getting everybody in tonight, aren't we?
I just want to add, though, my AMA helmet looks really cool. I put it on and went indoors to my wife yesterday, and she looked at me and she went, "Fucking loser." I was really hurt. I just turned around and walked away.
Do you know what you need to do, Mike?
I don't know why. I mean, I know how aggressive your wife is 99% of the time anyway. But there was a genuine point in my brain then where I thought, she's going to have said he looks really sexy in that hat or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was going to be some point where she was going to be like, "You've never looked more attractive to me than you do right now." And it, and I don't know why I didn't think she wouldn't have just mugged you off, because obviously she mugged you off. Like, why wouldn't she?
So, Mike, I need you. You need to make another helmet to fit Big Mike, and then just leave it in the house.
Mike. Yeah, shrink one down, make a little medium Mike helmet.
Yeah, and put it on your figure, and then just dot it around the house.
I don't know, because the hair, the horse's tail on it was about 25 quid, and I don't really want to buy another one.
Well, I would offer to donate some hair myself, but I'm follically challenged,
somewhat deficient. So This is very annoying. It's actually saying that the inner panel that I don't have yet, it says now is the perfect time to attach the inner panel. Well, I haven't got it, so I can't. So what I've done so far, this is the rear electronics panel. So this is now square. I have measured it. It is square. And we've got corner brackets on all of the corners. So one can assume that this will go like this. And then we will start putting stuff in it in a minute, I guess. Is
Paul still in chat just to make sure it's done properly?
I don't need Paul to tell me. I read the instructions, but if Paul is in the chat, could he have a little maybe just rewind it a little bit and just sort of say that that's good. It is square. I have checked it. Right, so we've got 2 505s. There's Paul. Yeah, good. And it's all right, Paul. I mean, I don't need you to say it, Paul, but if you like, send it to me.
Is he allowed to turn the page now, is he, Paul? Just to be safe.
James, I'll be wearing that all day.
Don't worry, he's watching. You know when you're wearing that helmet, you need to send your wife a picture every half an hour just to be an arse.
Now, what I'm going to do is, whenever I'm watching Lord of the Rings, I'm just going to put the helmet on because I know how much it's going to piss her off.
Get on a phone and put that as your screensaver for when you ring her. That photo.
No, I actually changed her screensaver to Justin Bieber when I phoned.
Or is it baby?
Yeah,
I put that on there as well.
When I was a younger man, I got hold of my dad's phone. So my dad used to be a commercial electrician, and when he was a commercial electrician, he used to work in a place called our Sisters of Mercy. So for those people who don't know, our Sisters of Mercy is a hospice care run by nuns.
I know what's
I
coming.
got hold of his phone, and I want to be clear, I was always this funny. So I got hold of his phone, and I changed his ringtone to, "Can the man with the 10-inch penis please answer the phone? Man with the 10-inch penis, please answer the phone. Thank you very much." And that went off whilst he was in a planning meeting with the Mother Superior. And he beat the snot out of me when he got home.
And if you know James's dad, he got so angry over this.
He was so angry. He said so many hurtful things. He was very, very, and he was angry for years. He
says really hurtful things to James when he just looks at him.
Yeah,
so when he was really mad, I should imagine the stuff that came out of his mouth.
So angry. He was so angry all the time. And he'd bring it up a lot. Like he'd constantly be like, "You're a real piece of shit, you know that?" I'd be like, "Hold on, what are we doing here?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I really hate you." Sometimes he'd just be sitting there watching television at the weekend and he'd just go, "I hate you." I'd be like,
He still does it now. He still does it now.
Every now and again, it would just come out and he'd just be like, "I hate you." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Thanks, Dad."
We met because we both used to go shooting. And James's dad sometimes used to come. And I was standing there one day and I was talking to his dad, and James was on the bench shooting, and he looked at me and went, "Look at that fucking idiot." He wasn't even doing anything.
I hadn't even done anything.
He was just sitting there.
I was just sitting there, genuinely minding my own business. And even now and again, he just walked past and he'd go, "You're a real piece of shit." And then
he didn't say it quietly. He didn't say it quietly. What just I heard. He said it so like the whole group of 10 of us heard.
Yeah. Oh. And like we didn't know everybody there either. Like, we didn't know everyone. It wasn't like a group of friends that we were all around having a chat with each other. It was just my dad.
I'm not sure I should be crying with laughter. Oh,
so angry. I was like, "Why are you so angry?" And he was like, "You have no idea what you."
So the next sponsorship you'll have will be like Bernardo's
ringtone company, probably.
Yeah. So
that was what happened then.
And it's still going on till today.
And it's still going on now. Like, he still does it to this day. There are occasions where my mum pulls him up on it and she just goes, "Why are you like this?" And then he goes, "He knows why." He goes, "He knows what he did."
They're quite.
And I do.
I remember that.
I did.
I remember that time when them sort of ringtones were like popular. You'd send a message, wouldn't you? And it'd be 79p to install it or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, that one's scratched. Jesus. But yeah, he was really angry about that. Like he's still angry about it now. He's been angry about it for years. Really,
he's just angry about a lot of things, your dad.
He is.
Mostly you, to be honest. Mostly you.
Yeah, for the most part. So Dad has some really sort of out there opinions. So he won't renew his passport because the biometric passports came in, and his reason for not doing it is he doesn't want to give the Taliban his fingerprints. That's the end of that story. There's no more justification for that. He thinks there's a bunch of people out in Iraq and Afghanistan, or the Taliban, unlocking their iPhones with his thumbprint. I don't understand what they think he could be doing with it. I don't understand his level of concern. That's what worries me. I don't know why he's that bothered.
That's probably.
I don't know what he's so concerned about. His second
that's probably the most craziest thing about the Taliban.
Yeah,
they're out stealing your fingerprints
all the time. They're mad for it.
They've just got whole hard drives full of fingerprints.
Yeah,
so we've just been talking about Creality pinching people's files, and the Taliban are pinching people's fingerprints. But what you don't hear
about enough.
Well, if they joined forces, they'd have everything.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. That'd be the real concern, I suppose. Yeah, is that one day they're all going to get together, and that's it. None of us will be able to get into our phones anymore.
We were talking about all these businesses getting together, Taliban and Creality. Watch
Yeah.
this space.
I'd be concerned. I think it would hurt Creality's sales, to be honest.
It
although
might hurt
they
their
brought out
brand
the end-
slightly.
I was gonna. Well, you say that they brought out the end of 7, so that's not hurt them. So I don't really know if there's much more they can do at this point, to be
And
honest.
before the
They could just-
before the end of 7, they brought out the end of 6.
yeah, they could just crap in a box and send it to you and be like, "I don't know, you deal with it." It's just like,
Well, that's what they basically did with their scanner.
yeah.
No comment.
So then this next one is he doesn't believe passports are proof that you are who you say you are. He thinks they're just proof of that you are the person in the passport. So I said, I don't know what you mean by that. And he said, you can go to any council estate. I want to be clear, he's not been to a council estate since the early 50s. You can go to any council estate in England and have a fake passport made. And I was like, what? He's like, yep, you can go to any council estate in England and I guarantee you can have a fake passport made. I was like, that isn't true.
No, he just watches too much telly. He probably watched all the episodes of the building.
That just isn't factually accurate. That isn't true. And he was like,
Was that
he's like,
on
"No, I'm telling you."
EastEnders?
I was like, no, you can't just say, I'm telling you, and then be like, that's obviously true now.
Oh,
So that's
I wonder
some of
if
the
it's
stuff
cheaper
that,
than
that
actually getting a
he's-
real
that he's
passport.
done in the past, just so that everyone doesn't, so that people start to understand where I get it from.
Is your dad a Daily Mail reader by any chance, James? As non-stick
I
asking.
don't know that. I don't think so. I think one of the main issues is that he doesn't really read.
Yeah, your dad's got no time for reading.
No. He's not got any time for facts. He's just got.
Well, to
he's
be
just
honest,
got, he's all he's the only thing he's got
The Sunday
time for.
Sport. You buy the
This
Sunday
is a
Sport to
prime
look at
example,
pictures.
right? My dad will lie about people for no reason. So when I was very young, we were watching a film, and Tommy Lee came on it. Tommy Lee Jones, right? And he said, "You know, Tommy Lee Jones is gay, didn't you?" And I said, "What?" I was probably 12, and he went, "Yep, Tommy Lee Jones, he's gay." And I went, and then I repeated that to a lot of people. Until eventually, when I was like 20, someone pulled me up on it, and they were like, "So he's got a family, he's got like a wife and kids, he's absolutely 100% he's not gay." And I called my dad and I said, "So you told me years ago that Tommy Lee Jones was gay?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, he's got a family and kids, so he's not." And he was like, "Oh, okay. I must be thinking of somebody else." And I was like, "Sorry, I've been telling people that for nearly 10 years. You just made that up, did you?"
Oh God.
And he just went, "Oh yeah." I said, "So should we stop telling people then?" And he was like, "Yeah, we probably should."
Oh. Do you know
So
what?
that's
But
where
that's
I get
like
it from. Just so everyone's, just so everyone's on the same page. I get
then
it
there's
from
Elton
him.
John. Yeah.
And then there's
Oh,
Elton John.
God.
Yeah.
And also, your dad really loves his Prius, doesn't he?
So there's a couple of things. None of you will meet my dad, and you should thank your lucky stars for that, because
No,
the
he's
only
excellent.
conversation
He's excellent.
willing to have-
He's
the
excellent.
only-
Because
the
when
only
you see all he
person
does
he's
to
willing-
Bruce
the only
James.
two conversations he's willing to have. The first one is how many miles to the gallon his Prius does, which I want to be clear, no one's ever asked him, and he still volunteers the answer anyway. And then the other one is he will tell you how many coats of paint it took to paint his shed, but only after you have guessed way more times than is socially appropriate. He will make you guess. I reckon he'll make you guess 9 times wrong before he'll actually tell you how many times he had to paint the shed.
See, I love James's dad.
That he wanted it to be. That's the end of the story.
I love James's dad because all he does is just stand there, look at him, and abuse him
All the
for
time.
no reason. It's brilliant.
And I've not even done anything. I wasn't a bad child.
Oh.
Carl, my missus says you laugh like a woman being hysterical. That's fair.
I can't help it.
So yeah, so that's just a little insight into my life for you guys, in case you were ever wondering what it's like to be me. The problem is I'm not much better when it comes to being weird. So I was. This only happened a few weeks ago.
So Chris has just said. So how many coats was it?
No, we're not, because if I repeat it on here, then he'll say that his shed is famous or something like that, because 16 people watched it and figured out how many coats it is. And then he'll probably go in the comments somehow, because he'll create a YouTube account just so he can correct me. So I'm not engaging in that level of enabling. I'm not doing it. So anyway,
that could be the question for your next giveaway, though.
It could be, yeah. If someone could guess
Here's
how
a
many
picture,
coats,
how many coats, and you can win a 1 kilogram roll of filament. So anyway, so I was at my it was my anniversary a few weeks ago. Me and my wife went out to dinner, and she asked me a question that people really shouldn't ask me, which is, "What were you thinking?" She's just, we're waiting for the starters. She just said, "What are you thinking?" And it was this really nice moment between the two of us. And I said, "Pigs are much bigger in person than you expect." And she said, "What?" And I went, "Honestly, some of them are really big. Like, you can nearly ride a pig." And she just, and no word of a lie, she got up and she just went to the toilet. She was just so exhausted by it. She was like, "This, I can't. All right." And then she just walked off. She was very angry. She was like, "I can't believe that's what you were thinking about." I was like, "You asked. Like, I don't know why it's my fault."
But then Lauren asks me that all the time, and I tell her what I'm thinking. And half the time I think I'm lying, because I know she's going to be really dissatisfied with what I was thinking.
Yeah, but they keep asking the same question all the time, though. They never learn from your answers.
They think they're going to get a different answer, and they're not.
Yeah,
like when my missus is driving, she petrifies me, and I say to her, "What?"
Yeah, same as mine. Same as I can only go in the car with Lauren when I'm drunk.
Well, yeah, I was doing 30 miles an hour, and I was like, "Yeah, plus 20," and that was a red light. Well, it was orange to begin with.
Well, it was green. Half a mile back.
Like, and I say to her, "You're braking dead late." She goes, "Yeah, but cars these days can stop quicker." Unfortunately, you can't stop the car any quicker.
The only time I'll get in the car with Lauren driving is if I'm drunk, because it lowers your fear factor
a lot.
And if you get in an accident, you go all floppy like an old salad.
Yeah, so you just sort of flop around a bit instead of really badly hurting yourself.
Yeah.
When she first started to learn to drive, she had a Fiesta. And she was round near where we live now. And she went round this sort of mini roundabout, and I had the window open. She went round this mini roundabout so fast that I actually nearly fell out the window. Like, seriously, God's honest truth, I nearly fell out the window. And after that, I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. If I'm drunk, okay. Otherwise, I'll drive.
Yeah. James, Non-Sticker said, "Do you know what? Pigs are a lot bigger in person."
They are. They are. Some of them are massive. Some of them are so massive they can't even stand up.
Really big.
Like, you know, when I go by to Audi.
Like, the point was poignant, but she was very, very angry about it. Like, way more angry than she needed to be. Like, she was choosing to be that angry at that point. Like,
so, when I go shopping,
blaming me for it.
When you go shopping now, like, the pork is where the pork is and all that, I actually stand there and think to myself, how many pigs have been slaughtered just to feed us here? Like,
fuck me, you're happy in Tesco's, isn't you?
Oh,
just you in the self-checkout aisle, being like, unexpected item in the bagging area. That's my soul.
4 a.m. in the morning. I love it when the self-service till goes, "Can't read that."
And you go, "All right, well,
it for free."
That's mine then.
Yeah, it just means you get it for free.
Yeah. Like, you know, the scanner where you have to, like, do your own shopping.
Yeah.
And it buzzes and says, "Oh, we need to check 4 items." I'm like, do I get a discount for doing my own shopping and pricing it? And they look at me as if I'm stupid. And the wife's like, "Why are you asking that?" Well,
when my granddad was alive,
Just the sheer confusion.
when my granddad was alive, so me nan and my granddad would go shopping at Tesco's, right, and they'd use them scanners as you walk around. And they'd get to like the meat aisle, and they would get like 4 big bits of steak and just not scan them every week, and like maybe like a couple of big bits of fish and just not scan it all. And my granddad used to say they rob you in there anyway, so it don't really matter. And I was like, no, you aren't just stealing it. Like, and he was like, no, they rob you in Tesco's, so I'm just taking a bit back. I was like, in the last month, you've had about 80 quid's worth of steak out of there. He was like, well, I should check. I went, well, the whole point of it is they don't have to check. He went, that's why.
Well, that's why we have to pay £1 extra for each steak now.
Yeah.
Just every week. I'm not paying for this. It was like scan one, miss one, all the way around the supermarket.
I'm going to try that tomorrow. That'll be an interesting one.
And if you I thought I scanned it.
Yeah, I've let my kids loose with them scanners before, just for fun. And they've had some ridiculous like totals like £20,000. Like it's hilarious. And then you go to it and the woman's like, oh, and I'm like, oh yeah, the kids have got it. I'm gonna have to put it through a till now. And the kids are beaming. They're going for world records.
World records. Yeah, pork is tasty murder.
That's what I like about pork. You can taste the sadness. I don't know why everyone gets so funny about eating pigs or like eating any animal, really. I think the only reason we don't eat people is because they taste like garbage.
And you end up in prison.
Well, there is that. But that's really the secondary.
Well, going by like the history of like killers and that in the UK, it's normally a GP anyway.
Apparently, yeah.
From Yorkshire.
4 lots.
80% of people who died over a 20-year period, he was there.
Jesus Christ.
Akuma Mods is in the house. Funny enough, he's not actually broken anything yet.
Chaps. Well, at the moment, this is going quite well.
To be honest, we haven't really been concentrating. So he could have.
Yeah. James has been bleeding his soul about his trauma.
About trauma.
Which that he wakes up and regrets every day.
So I think this is actually going quite well at the moment. But I've been wrong before, so don't quote me on it, right?
Scary fact. In New Zealand, they stopped eating people 30 years ago.
What was that?
So James has put on, scary fact, in New Zealand, they stopped eating people 30 years ago.
What, like you could just eat anyone, or
was it a select?
Sorry, what?
Was that on Google?
Google
that requires some level of context. There's no way that people in New Zealand 30 years ago were eating people. Like that's not.
Or did you ask Siri?
There's no way that's true.
Because like New Zealand, when COVID came out, they were like the most like select country that literally just shut everything and closed it to the world.
Yeah.
Was a nice menu item.
No, but that is.
Is that why you got out, James? Because they were after you. So James was living there in 2007.
James, you got to be careful of that.
That's why he left.
That's why he left.
It's like all the, like in Brazil, like all these deforestation that's going on, like all these tribes they keep finding that have lived there for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like these are corporations are coming in, aren't they? And they're passing all the diseases to these people that have lived there for years, haven't they? It's crazy, like how immune they've come to like living in the forest, and like eating a monkey is normal to them. It's probably normal to us at one point.
I feel like we're massively confusing like different nations here. I don't feel like we're talking about New Zealand. I feel like New Zealand has been pretty normal for a while now. Like, there's no way that 30 years ago New Zealand was eating people. Like, that's just not possible. Papua New Guinea, I could believe that.
Yes, Akuma Mods had flamed broiled Richard for dinner.
Flame broiled Richard. That's very.
Yeah.
Is it Richard the Third?
So yeah, so countries like Papua New Guinea and stuff like that, that's probably still going on. Like,
meat is meat. That is a sentence that is going to land you in a lot of trouble if that's a philosophy you're going to continue with. Then you want to be very careful about who you're repeating it to.
like they eat. It's dog, isn't it, in Korea? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
China and all.
yeah. To be honest, I look at my dog and don't think to myself, "You'd be nice in a sandwich."
I do with a Chihuahua, but it's not really a dog. It's just a bad cat. So
I think that's a pigeon with an extra set of legs. To be honest, the size of them.
I can find loads about New Zealand cannibals, but none about it being legal 30 years ago.
see, now that's a concerning sentence. Why can you find loads of information about New Zealand? How is this not something I knew about? That New Zealand was
Maori tribes.
more cannibalistic than anywhere else.
Just used to have a bit of a gnaw on each other, apparently.
But non-stick Korea, like, they're not like a third world country though, like South Korea. They're like one of the most leading countries in the world for technology.
Incredibly advanced. Like their cities were the first to
But they have a lot of cats and dogs.
Their dial-up broadband is better than our fiber.
Yeah.
Like, I get excited when I get 5G on my phone, and they're probably on like 9G.
9G.
Mike got it. They don't eat the skin, though.
Well, not everyone likes crackling, do they?
Not
Andrew
off the
had
people,
chocolate-coated crickets. Oh.
I've had a snake.
What, voluntarily?
Yeah, in Thailand. Or it was a piece of a python.
A piece of a pie.
What, you were told it was a python?
I ordered it.
Like, I went to Cambodia and like my dad was working over there and we went for something to eat in this little town, and he said there's only 2 types of chicken that you can get in Cambodia. Either one that's been killed by a car or one that's been killed normally, you know, like by a butcher.
Yeah.
And he was like, the ones you get that are killed by a car is you spit the bone out because that's how it comes. Like, they take it as a delicacy that you spit.
Like, carbon monoxide poisoning or something.
I've got no idea, but like literally, like chicken, there was like a bit of neck, spine, and like there's dogs like sat on the floor waiting for their food.
Or if it's chicken like that comes from a cave, chicken in a cave. That's a bad. That starts COVID though. Chicken in a
that's
cave.
the rumor, yeah. Maybe they should have coated it in chocolate like the crickets, and we wouldn't have got COVID.
Yeah,
because chocolate makes everything better.
Does, yeah,
unless you diabetes.
I'll tell you what I would believe.
I'll still have it on anything.
I'll tell you what I would believe. If you told me that Steven Seagal ate people, I'd 100% believe that. Because Steven Seagal is mental.
Strange.
Yeah, you could just imagine he ate his way out of a fight.
Yeah.
Because he's proper fat now as well.
He's very fat. So have
that
you
video,
seen...
the cop.
There's a TV show that Steven Seagal does.
Yeah.
And he's a police officer.
He's a sheriff. He was.
Sheriff, yeah?
Yeah.
For years he did it.
Yeah.
Which means there is a real chance that if you were to go to, I think it's in Missouri, or is it Mississippi? I can't remember. But there's a real chance that if you were to go there and speed, Steven Seagal could pull you over.
Not really. I think he lives in Russia now.
He does now, yeah.
And he dresses like Bruce Lee.
Unlikable traits of any human being, which is that he knows everything about everything. Like if you're walking past a dog and you'll go, that dog's a Shih Tzu pug cross. I've been working with dogs for like 45 years.
Yeah,
and then a helicopter will fly past and you'll go, oh, that's a B3672. I've been flying helicopters for like 67 years. And then eventually, every now and again, it'll just say something that's so obviously not true. It'll be like, oh, they also call that a skippy. You go, why? And it goes, because if you listen to it, it goes, skip. And you go, no, that's not true. That's not a true thing you just said.
Oh, he's like the older you get, like he was in, what was that film he was in like years ago on the battleship?
Under Siege.
So I
Still one
remember
of the
seeing
greatest
him.
films ever.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But I was teenager when that came out, and then like the older I've got, the weirder he's got.
Yeah. Not Michael Jackson.
Like it's like Michael
He's
Jackson.
not quite as weird as Jean-Claude Van Damme, but he is a close second.
Yeah, and like you are like Michael Jackson. He was like the biggest thing.
When we were kids, it was Michael Jackson. The older we got, the weirder he got.
Well, yeah, he got younger as well.
Yeah,
and got a bit
whiter.
cooler. Yeah. And then all these stories come out about Macaulay Culkin and his monkey.
Yeah.
And then you see all the stories on Netflix, and you're like,
Jesus juice.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, like the Pepsi advert he was in.
Yeah, where his head caught fire.
Yeah. I remember seeing him in concert when I was 15, and he was incredible.
That's such a strange sentence for a person to say. What do you mean his head caught fire?
So when he was originally filming a Pepsi advert, they had all pyrotechnics going off, and a pyrotechnic landed on his hair, and it caught all his hair on fire. His head was on fire. Like the people had to come in with fire extinguishers. His head was on fire. Bet it stunk.
Like when he brought out, was it Thriller? Like the first ever real production for a song.
Yeah.
Like, it was incredible.
Like, so when we were kids, when Michael Jackson brought a new video out, it was premiered on telly.
Yeah.
Like, for a week leading up to it, it was advertised that on Friday night at like 6 o'clock, they're premiering the new Michael Jackson video.
Yeah, but kids these days don't understand that we only had one channel.
You must be older than me, because we had 4.
If something bad was on, you didn't ever have a lot of options.
But I was brought up in the forces, so we only had one channel, and it literally had the worst things from BBC One, BBC Two, Channel 4, I think, maybe a bit of ITV. That was it.
Or was it that the buttons were broke on the telly?
Potentially, yeah.
Either that, or he was just too lazy to get up and change it because you didn't have a clicker.
Yeah, we just leave it on this channel for the rest of our lives.
One of those kids whose dad just smacked him around the back of the head so that they could convince us to go and change the channel. Like.
I had to put a screwdriver in the channel tuning just to get the picture right, and then you'd move, and you're like, oh, for God's sake. Bloody aerial's moved again. You have to tune it in. Then someone will walk past your bedroom door, and the picture will go off.
Shouldn't have put these ones on yet. We knew we'd be taking something off at some point. I think I've done very well to make it this far without having to remove something.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was shown live, wasn't it, Paul? Like all over like the globe. Like,
yeah.
Just. But it's weird, isn't it? Like, like social media now, like the way, like you can be so misinterpreted now. Like, would Seagal been as big as he was when we were younger if media was the way it was? Like, would he have been accepted?
Well, he was normal when he was younger, really.
I don't know. Yeah.
Compared to what he's like now, he appeared relatively normal.
I don't know that he was ever normal.
No, but he appeared normal in a film. Like, he probably was very abnormal outside of it.
But that's because he was acting. Really?
Very good. Very true point. Very true.
Oh, there's one film he made, which was I can't remember what it was called. The one where he's recording someone and then they break into his house that night and kill him and his family. But he survives and they hide him in secret. And he's in a coma for like 10 years.
Oh, I missed that one.
I can't think what it's called. But it's got one of the greatest lines ever in any film in it. The bloke he's recording keeps saying, because he's a senator, and he's on telly, and he always says on the end, you can take that to the bank. And he hears him say it, and his next line was, I'll take you to the bank, the blood bank.
Oh.
Like, it couldn't get any more 80s.
Oh, it's nuts.
I'll take you to the bank, the blood bank.
Like, he did some really weird films, though, didn't he? Like, in the last 15 years. Like,
Yeah.
he went really strange. He did that film. Oh, what was it called with DMX? Did a film with them, and he was really bizarre in that.
Yeah. I know the one you mean.
I can't think of the name, and it was a bizarre. He was bizarre in it, but it was a good film. But he was just strange.
Glimmer Man.
Yeah.
That was it, I think.
Yes, James, I am showing my age. I am the wrong side of 40-ish.
What's the distance? So should be 40.
It does, yeah. Social media, yeah. If it's used right, it is quite powerful. But yeah,
there is a reality that if he was born in a time where social media was about, they'd never have allowed him to do half the stuff that he did. Like, someone would have gone, no, this actually needs to. Like, someone needs to put a stop to this.
but it's all that. So that's what's going on in Hollywood, though, isn't it? Really now, like all that the stuff that's gone on, or the abuse, like
Kevin Spacey.
Well, yeah, but it's true. Like all them, like that era, it was normal. And because social media has become so popular and things are not acceptable, people just thought it was normal for that to be done or forced.
Thought it was normal, and then all of a sudden people were like, "It's not normal for Kevin Spacey to be chasing people with his knob out."
Look at that look at that court case that's going on with Johnny Depp and that. Like,
well, I've been off sick from work for a few weeks because of my shoulder, and I've been watching it every day.
I've been watching it on TikTok. Some of the best content in the world, TikTok. Like just from like clips from their court case. Yeah, yeah. Like, and then there was a bit where Johnny Depp's solicitor took one of his chocolate, and he turned to him and said, "It's a good job we're in court already." Like, you just can't write this stuff. It's crazy, and it is true. Like, you know,
and it is mad.
Yeah, like Nonstick said there, social media does ruin lives. And like, I've got teenager kids, and the social media has really messed up their lives. Like, they only see what's on a phone. They don't see what's the behind that camera image. They don't see like the stresses and the fact they can't go buy a bacon butty.
Well, you've only got to look. If you go to a concert now, the first 150 rows are just phones.
Yeah.
People are watching the live concert through a phone.
It's true.
They're not experiencing it.
They're not experiencing it as being there. They're there, but they're watching it through a phone because they're filming the entire thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm an Everton fan for my sins. And, like, I had a friend at the game yesterday, and he sent me through some live video, you know, from at the end when the final.
I tell you what, it's going to be proper funny. Now you are safe. The FA will probably dock you 3 points for that pitch invasion.
I've already said that. They'd probably dock us 4.5 just to be spiteful.
Yeah.
And like, even when I hear Z Cars when it's coming out, even on TV, it makes hair stand up on the back of my neck. I love the atmosphere of the grounds. But when he sent me through that video last night, it made me tingle because of the atmosphere. It's just incredible. People who don't like football just don't get it. It's like rugby fans.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. So I don't like football, but I want to be clear on the reason why. The reason why I don't like football is because my dad, unsurprisingly,
told you netball was more popular.
Football. He's also not a big fan of the Olympics, but that's a different conversation. He doesn't like football. So I never had those father-son moments.
You never had football on the telly when you was a kid.
Never had football on the television because Dad hated it, and we never had those moments where me and Dad had, where we bonded over.
They watched every episode of Baywatch, though.
Well, yeah, but Nonstick, you're pointing your finger at a real small minority because, like, I've been able to take my kids to Goodison Park to watch Everton play, like my granddad did and my dad's done. Like, my granddad died 5 years ago, and the first time I went after he passed away, it was quite emotional because, like, my earliest memories was standing in Gladys Street End with my granddad. Like, there is a massive attachment to it. Like, the dedication from football fans to their football club is bigger than faith. Like,
the problem with a lot of people who don't like football, and like Non-Sticker said, football fans are knobs. unfortunately, you only ever hear about the bad ones.
Yeah.
You only hear about the bad ones. You never hear about the other 30 million football fans in this country who are just normal people who support a football team.
Yeah,
so,
that is
like
true.
on a match day, like the last game of this Sunday, there'd be more people going to those Premier League matches than there will be on church.
Easy.
Without a doubt. And the amount of people that are watching it at home and everything else, it's a global brand. And like
at 3:00 on Sunday, there'll be more people tuned into one channel than there will be in the rest of the country.
And I get where non-stick's coming from, because if you don't enjoy that sport, then it does look like egotistical, overpaid, and they are overpaid, but that's down to all us football fans that go and pay to watch or pay for Sky Sports. That's up. We're part of that problem. We're not the solution. And there is like I associate a lot of my youth to going to watch that. It was like a treat. Like my dad would tell me about the boys' den at Gladys Street. I've never experienced that. They're bringing it in at the new ground. I can't wait for my kids to go and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Like you don't some people enjoy going on roller coasters. I hate roller coasters, never have. But I've got people I know that will sit on them for 7 hours if they could, but they won't sit in the ground for 90 minutes. It's
There's nothing like a Champions League night at home. It's different.
Yeah.
It's
James. Yeah, as much as I don't like that side of the town, that place, like I've seen that stadium grow over the last few years. Like the atmosphere has become quite impressive. Like, but that's because a lot of them come from Norway and Finland. They all fly into Liverpool to watch the game and support Liverpool. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, European nights at Anfield are probably the most incredible. Like Stephen Gerrard did an interview with someone on podcast, Gary Neville, and he said that the closest thing to Anfield, he said, is probably Rangers and Celtic. He thinks their atmospheres are a little bit better because that's all they've got. That's that football.
It's more intense.
Right, yeah. But he said Anfield nights are the most incredible experience. And I've seen away fans like Celtic when they've gone to Anfield in town when I've been in Liverpool. What it brings is incredible. I've been to Goodison Park for a European night. There's nothing better than a European night, because it's like the last couple of weeks with Everton. The fact that Everton have been doing what the Liverpool fans have been doing for years is incredible. Like, we've been lining the streets for hours before a game. We've been letting off smoke bombs and flares and welcoming the crowd, the players. Show you support. That's what Liverpool do. They intimidate a team before they even get in. Like Man City when they put the windows through a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Liverpool fans were putting bricks through their windows. What happened? Liverpool won the game because City lost that then. That intimidation, that I'm really worried about Everton moving to the new ground and losing that intimidation. It's hard. Like West Ham when they moved, that took them years to get used to it, didn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. But what I will say, I'm a Chelsea fan, right? I can't get tickets for Chelsea. Our ground only holds 42,000, right? The only way you can get tickets for a Chelsea game is to become a member, go to the first game, second game, third game, fourth game. If you go to the first 7, you'll get tickets. You've got to go to them first 7 games. You've got to commit to going to them.
Yeah.
Whereas I've got a few friends who are West Ham fans, and if they want to go to football, they just get a ticket.
Yeah. Chelsea is more of a business, though.
It is. But Chelsea are held back by the size of the stadium.
Yeah, they're limited. Like Roberts just said there, look at the amount of people that go and watch darts. I have no interest in darts, but every time it's on telly, I'll watch it for 10 minutes because that atmosphere is incredible.
Yeah, it's
incredible. Like I went to watch. I live not far from
2020 cricket is the same. 2020 cricket is the same. It's a big piss up.
Yeah, like St Helens. I've been to watch St Helens against Wigan in rugby league, and it was incredible. Like you watch rugby league on TV and you see 2 men collide. You feel, oh, that hurts. You watch it, that you feel the thud. You're talking about men that are a few £100 crashing. That you get that energy in the ground. You know, like when you're watching football, like when you go and watch Chelsea, like it is quite a hostile ground.
Yeah.
Like, and it does intimidate players, and being part of that is amazing. But they pay footballers to get is stupid though, man. Really, Tom Cruise gets how many millions for doing Top Gun 2? Michael Jordan's still earning what 200 million a year from not playing.
Yeah. Shaquille O'Neal had the first 100 million a year contract, didn't he?
Yeah,
and that was how many years ago?
Yeah, and
like our footballers' pay is actually, as soon as you go into the American leagues of stuff, footballers' pay is really not that high.
And you got Messi, Ronaldo, all them players. They earn big money and they deserve. They've earned what they get now. Like James supports Liverpool. Like their monthly revenue on wages has gone from being okay to being big because now they're winning Premier Leagues. They're winning Champions League. They bring in that revenue in, so they can afford to pay Mo Salah £200,000 a week.
Yeah.
But then people don't see what Mo Salah does in Egypt with his money. Or Mane plays for Liverpool. He's probably one of the biggest earners there, and he literally walks around with an iPhone that's smashed to pieces.
Same with Conte, who plays for us. He drives a Mini that's crashed on the front left corner and a smashed iPhone.
And all their money goes back to Africa, where they're from, to
Didier
provide straws.
He played for us for God knows how many years, and he used his money building hospitals.
Yeah, but people don't see that.
No, they just see this is how much that person owns. I bet he's just eating lobster 5 times a day.
So Chelsea a couple of weeks ago were allowed to sell tickets again because
up until a couple of weeks ago when we was allowed to sell them. Before that, it was season ticket holders only.
Yeah, but acting is different. They make movies and stuff. But I played football and I played to quite a good level, I think. But when I see
Does anybody else think that, or was that just your opinion?
To be honest, a lot of people I played with had quite a high opinion. But when I go and watch football at Goodison Park, or I've been to watch Southport, I live not far from Southport's football ground. I've watched under 23s, I've watched the women's there. You go and watch it, it's a different experience. You see the ability off a ball. Like you watch it on TV, you only see where the ball's going. You don't see a run by Mo Salah. You don't see a run by Drogba. You don't see a run by whoever because it's not shown on telly. These people are athletes.
It's just the same as when we won the Champions League for the first time. Drogba scored a goal in the 88th minute.
Yeah.
A header. And up until we made contact with the ball, he wasn't even on the camera.
Yeah, but you say to me, all right, a fraction would make hospitals and such. But, all right, they might earn 100 grand a week. How much is that is going to the government already?
50%.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not being funny, right? As much as I dislike Steven Gerrard, he has set up some amazing charities in this area. You know, and he does a lot. Like Wayne Rooney, whatever you think of him, they put a lot back into charities. And that's the things that people forget. You know, and I know actors get paid because they're acting. But that's just the way it is. Like Top Gun 2.
You could learn to be a professional actor quicker than you could become a professional footballer.
Yeah. One child in 50,000 will make it as a professional footballer.
That's mad when you think of that, though, isn't it?
And I manage a grassroots football team from Southport Football Club. I am qualified, and the pressure I see kids from other teams from parents is incredible. Like the disappointment in their parents' face when their kids miss an open goal, or they can't pass a ball because they made a mistake. Like the kids fall out of love of a beautiful game because their parents' pressure they put on them. I've had parents actually from an opposing team arguing with one of my players in a game because he was arrogant. And some players are arrogant, and you need that as a footballer. Like these were parents swearing at a 10-year-old kid. It had to be reported.
Jesus Christ.
It was appalling.
So
Did he deserve it?
One of my best friends, she became a football referee when she was about 15. Qualified as a referee. She's always loved football. She used to play for Arsenal. She's still mental about football now. She refereed for about 4 years and then stopped because of the amount of abuse she got from parents.
Yeah. And I see it. Like, so I have an app every Sunday. I have to sit down. I have to write a report for our game. So so even if I think the referee's made some really bad decisions, I will go up and I will shake his hand or her hand and say, good game. I have then the opportunity to go on an app and put my reasons in for my grades, because I'm allowed to have my opinion, and I'm not doing it on the whim of being upset. I go home and I think about the decisions that have been made, and kind of I chill out a little bit, and that's about being controlled.
Right. So just an update on where we are. So I can't really get a camera angle on everything because
it's large, that frame.
Okay, it's quite large. So the frame is actually together and the wire end stop is on. That seems to be one of the first things that you do. This piece back here. So if I bring it this way, there we go. So this piece here is what the back panel goes on for the electronics. And the frame is square. I've tested it.
That's huge.
With the set square things, and the frame is square. So that's a really solid base to build from. The next section of this is another 2 hours worth of work. So first of all, I just want to be clear. It thinks that putting this frame together should take 4 hours.
Oh, you've done well then.
And I've done it in 2 hours 16, including an introduction. And there was some stories in the middle of that, so that's all.
No, you've done it in less than 2. We went on at 7:30.
Yeah. So I mean, the next bit, the XY drive, it is going to be difficult. There's a lot of funny bearings and things like that, but I think we should probably call it a night there, because otherwise this is going to spill out into like 11 o'clock, and we can do this. We can do this once we're on. We'll come back on Sunday, and we'll crack on with the next section. Won't touch anything. So this will be, we'll do another live stream. We'll see how we get on then.
Well, you've got to clear up a bit because we're filming something tomorrow.
You're in the garden.
Yeah. That might be an outside day. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Nice outside day. Get you lots of fresh air. Ooh, yummy. So we're going to leave it there for tonight. The thing
it's going to be difficult getting the electric panel in.
Pardon?
So Paul's just put, it's going to be difficult getting the electric panel in when it's built.
I haven't got the panels yet, so literally can't do anything about that. Literally haven't got the panels.
Mud, you should be able to just take off, say, like the top 2 brackets, slide it in, then put them brackets back on.
That's 100% not how that works.
Oh, has it got holes in it that go through it?
No. No, what I'm telling you is that this top bar and this top bar have at least 14 bolts either side that are holding it in. So taking that out and sliding that in, you can't just slide stuff. There's no sliding.
Oh, it looks like you're taking it all apart.
Dismantling the printer and then reassembling it again. There's no sliding there. You can't slide.
Perhaps might have waited for the panels then.
Well, I didn't. So there. I don't know what I mean. So anyway, so I'm really happy with how far we've got. Like that's a really good start. It is large, so bearing in mind that there's also then a whole piece for the lid to go on the top. Like this is going to be
that color. That color you've got in the printed parts as well is the best color, I think.
Like a lime green.
Yeah.
But to be clear, you can't pick the color. It only comes in RatRig green. Yeah. You can print the parts yourself.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, if you've already got a machine that could print these parts in ABS to this standard, because I'm going to be clear, these are really nice. If you've already got a machine, then why are you buying this?
Yeah.
Because what this machine is built for is to chuck out ABS prints day after day, hour after hour. That's what it's designed for. Now it'll throw out ABS, PLA prints, and all that sort of stuff. But you know, it's just, as I say, it's just going to be really interesting to see how this all comes together as we go forwards. The panels I'll pick up with Martin about and see where we
James
get to.
was just asking. So Martin, who runs Under the Hot End, he works in that field, so he's actually trying to sort out something for James and the panels within his company.
And to be clear, even if we add the panels, that would obviously make that part a lot easier. But even if I add the panels, I still have to wait for the heated bed.
Yeah.
Now, without the heated bed, I can't really progress much past that point anyway, because I need to. Obviously, I need the heated bed to be able to do that stage. So there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to do. But do they not come with it? No, the panels do not come with the kit. You can't buy the panels for the kit. They give you the DXF files, and you have to get them cut somewhere else. So if you want a kit with panels, you need to find somewhere in the UK that does them, or somewhere that does them and ships them. I'm assuming they used to do them. And I'm assuming they got damaged in transit so often that they just said, yeah, we're not doing them anymore because we can't guarantee they don't get shattered.
And it's a big size as well. Even for yours, but yours just being the 400, the size needed is big, isn't it?
To be clear, the sides of this are 670 by 600. So that's a big panel.
Jesus.
That's any regular cutter, either like a laser cutter or whatever. They've never sold the panels. Oh, okay, fair enough. I'm guessing it's just too much aggro then. But they do provide you the DFX files for free, so you can go to a plastic manufacturer and they will make them for you. But you just need to find someone that can do it. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. That's been quite a productive evening so far. So we'll set another one up for Sunday, and then we'll carry on and we'll see how far we can get before we get to the bed. There's at least another hour and a half doing the XY assembly, and then once you've done the XY assembly, there's the XY idlers and then the X gantry. So all of that needs to be done before you do the bed. You can even do the lead screws and everything else. So I reckon there's at least one more. There's at least one more, if not two more live streams. So thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for joining. Thanks very much for sticking with us. We'll speak to you all very soon. Have a nice night. Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.